Hello everyone, and welcome to How-FixIT. If your iPhone 17 Pro Max frame is bent after a drop, or the aluminum housing is badly scratched or chipped, especially around the camera area, this video is for you. In this step-by-step guide, I'll show you how to fully disassemble the iPhone 17 Pro Max so you can replace any component inside it, including the housing, display, battery, logic board, camera system, speakers, Face ID module, buttons, and charging port. We'll also walk through full reassembly, calibration, and water resistance restoration, so you end up with a phone that looks like new again. For this repair, you'll need a precision screwdriver set, plastic pry tools, tweezers, a suction cup, and a screen disassembly tool, which are all essential for safely opening an iPhone. To restore water resistance, you'll also need adhesive sealing tape. All tools and replacement parts are linked in the video description below. That last one deserves a special mention. The iPhone 17 Pro Max contains dozens of screws in varying lengths, and several of them look nearly identical. One wrong screw in the wrong hole can strip threads, damage internal components, or leave the frame flexing, so keep track of every screw throughout disassembly. A magnetic mat helps you keep each screw in its own dedicated spot, in the exact order you removed it, which makes reassembly far less stressful. Alright, let's get started. Power off the iPhone, then remove the two penelope screws near the USB-C port at the bottom. Now heat the screen. Use a regular hairdryer or a heat gun to warm the bottom edge of the display. Set your heat source to about 90 degrees Celsius, 194 degrees Fahrenheit, then apply heat slowly and evenly across the entire bottom edge for 60 to 90 seconds. Keep the heat moving and don't rush it. Warm enough to soften the adhesive. Slightly uncomfortable to touch, but not hot enough to burn. With the adhesive softened, place a suction cup near the bottom edge of the screen and pull gently to create a small gap. Slide a thin blade into the gap at a shallow angle, then switch to a plastic pry tool as soon as you have enough room. Keep the edge warm as you work your way around the perimeter. Cold adhesive will resist and make the process harder. As you work your way around the phone, never insert the pry tool deeper than 3 mm. This is critical. Display cables run close to the edge near the volume buttons, and there are multiple spring contacts all around the perimeter. At the top edge, you'll encounter two hinge points connecting the display to the housing. When you reach them, apply gentle downward pressure to release them. Carefully and slowly open the display like a book, rotating it to the left. Remove the screw holding the bracket over the display and front sensor cable connectors, then disconnect those cables. Remove the 15 screws securing the large metal cooling plate and lift it free. The battery is bonded to the underside of this plate. If you're not replacing the battery, leave it exactly where it is and move on. If you are replacing it, you'll need a 9-volt battery and clamp wires, because the battery is secured with electrically released adhesive. Here's the process. Connect the black wire to the negative terminal and the red wire to the positive terminal of the 9-volt battery. Clip the black clamp onto the bare, uncoated, light-colored area on this plate. Then peel back the small pull tab at the bottom of the battery cell and clip the red clamp onto the silver tab. Hold that connection steady for about 90 seconds. You're sending a low current through the adhesive layer to warm it gently from the inside. It releases much cleaner than prying. If the clamps slip, just reattach them and repeat the procedure. Once the adhesive lets go, lift the battery out and don't forget to disconnect the clamps. If your replacement battery includes pre-installed adhesive, remove the liner and place it onto the plate. If it doesn't, apply new adhesive strips manually. I've included a link to replacement battery adhesive in the description below. Now, let's move back to the phone. Remove the screws securing the bracket over the front camera cable, then lift the bracket off and disconnect the cable from the logic board. Next, remove the entire front camera module. This module includes the infrared camera, the dot projector, and the front-facing camera. If you're having issues with the selfie camera or Face ID, replacing the complete module will restore normal operation. Next, remove the screws securing the bracket over the rear camera connectors, then remove the 3 screws that hold the rear camera module in place. Carefully disconnect the 3 rear camera flex cables from the logic board. One of the connectors is located underneath another, so take your time and be careful when disconnecting it. Once all 3 cables are disconnected, lift the camera module out of the iPhone housing. Unscrew and remove the earpiece speaker. Unscrew one bracket and one screw securing the logic board in place. Then disconnect all remaining cables attached to the logic board. Gently lift the board from the housing, then remove the screws securing the small rear bracket. Disconnect the wireless charging coil cable and set the logic board aside. Now we'll move to the bottom of the iPhone where the Taptic Engine, bottom speaker, and USB-C port are located. Remove the screws securing the Taptic Engine. Carefully lift the Taptic Engine, flip it over, disconnect the flex cable, and lift it out. Next, remove the screws holding the bottom loudspeaker, then lift the speaker out of the housing. To remove the USB-C port flex cable, start by removing all the screws that secure the cable to the iPhone housing. Next, remove the main microphone. Since it's glued to the case, gently warm the area with a hairdryer. Once the adhesive softens, remove the bracket, disconnect the main microphone cable, then gently separate the microphone from the housing. Now remove the last two screws securing the USB-C port to the case. Because the charging port flex is also adhered in place, warm the surface slightly before removing it. Once it's warm, peel the flex cable away slowly and carefully. If your iPhone has charging issues, frequent disconnects, or problems with data transfer, replacing this USB-C port assembly will usually solve the problem. Remove the two screws securing the bracket, then warm the surface again before taking out the LiDAR sensor module. Now remove the screws securing the flex cable assembly that includes the flash and rear microphone. Be mindful of the small screws. Keep each one in its original position to ensure proper placement during reassembly. Carefully peel the cable off and lift it out of the housing. If it's stuck, lightly warm the area to soften the adhesive. Replacing this cable assembly will fix problems with the flash or the rear microphone. Remove the screws securing the antenna to the chassis, then lift the antenna out of the housing. If it's stuck, gently warm the area first to soften the adhesive and avoid damage when prying it up. To remove the volume buttons, unscrew the screws holding the flex cable to the chassis, then gently detach and remove it. If your volume buttons aren't working, replacing this cable should restore them. Next, remove the screws securing the side button and camera control button flex cable. Both buttons share the same flex assembly. Disconnect the small camera control contact lead from the main button flex cable. Do this slowly and carefully to avoid tearing it. Once the screws are removed, lift the camera control contact lead off the main cable. If either button isn't working properly, replacing this flex assembly will usually fix the issue. However, keep in mind that the camera control button combines a touch sensor and a mechanical component. The sensor is welded to the chassis, which makes it extremely difficult to replace without swapping the entire housing. Also, the touch-sensitive portion of the camera control button is paired to your Apple ID. If you replace the housing assembly, you'll need to run calibration using Repair Assistant. I'll cover that later during testing. The wireless charging coil is attached to the back glass as a single unit. If your replacement housing didn't come with the back glass installed, transfer the back glass to the new housing. You can remove the back glass the same way as the screen, warm the edges, then gently work around the perimeter to separate it. At this point, all modules and parts have been removed. The iPhone 17 Pro Max is now completely disassembled. If your phone's frame is bent or damaged, this is the perfect time to replace it or install new parts. All replacement links for the iPhone 17 Pro Max are in the video description below. However, keep in mind that replacing modules such as the display, battery, front or rear camera, rear glass, or logic board requires calibration using Repair Assistant. This process is very simple. I'll cover this after reassembly during the first boot and testing. Before beginning reassembly, take a short break. This helps maintain focus and precision during the final steps. Now, let's begin reassembling the iPhone 17 Pro Max and installing each component into the new housing. Work slowly, stay organized, and double-check every connector and screw as you go. Step 1. Install the side button and camera control button flex cable. Place the flex into the original channel and make sure it lies perfectly flat with no twists. Reinstall the screws in the exact same holes they came from. Reconnect the small camera control contact lead to the main flex cable slowly and carefully. This lead is thin and easy to tear. Before moving on, press the side button and the camera control button from the outside to confirm both buttons feel normal and aren't stuck. Step 2. Install the action and volume buttons flex cable. Route the flex exactly as it was from the factory so it won't get pinched later. Then tighten the screws snugly, but not too hard. Test the action and volume buttons again from the outside to confirm a clean click. Step 3. Install the antenna flex cable. Seat the antenna in its recess and make sure it sits flush with the housing and does not overlap any screw posts. Then fasten the screws to secure it. Step 4. Install the flash and rear microphone flex cable. If the cable is adhesive backed, warm the area slightly only if needed, then lay the cable down in the correct path and press it into place gradually along its full length to prevent wrinkles. Reinstall the tiny screws carefully and keep them in the correct positions. Step 5. Install the LiDAR module. If you removed the LiDAR module, install it now as well. Place it in position, reinstall its bracket and screws, and make sure the module sits perfectly flat. Step 6. Install the USB-C port assembly. Position the USB-C port and lay the flex cable down without stretching it. Press the flex down from one end to the other so it bonds evenly. Reinstall all screws that secure the USB-C port and flex cable to the housing. Make sure the port is centered and sits straight so a cable plugs in smoothly. Step 7. Install the main microphone. Place the microphone into its recess in the correct orientation. Make sure it's seated correctly because misalignment can cause muffled audio. Reconnect the cable and reinstall the microphone bracket and screws. Step 8. Install the bottom speaker. Place the speaker into the housing and make sure it sits completely flat. Reinstall the screws in their original locations. If the speaker isn't seated flat, it can cause buzzing or rattling, so double check the fit before tightening everything down. Step 9. Install the Taptic Engine. Connect the Taptic Engine flex cable, then set the unit into position and reinstall the screws. Make sure it sits completely flat and doesn't rock. Step 10. Install the logic board. First, reconnect the wireless charging coil cable to the logic board, then reinstall the small bracket and tighten its screw. Lower the logic board into the housing gently, never force it. Make sure you don't pinch the cable you just connected, and double check that no other flex cables are trapped underneath the board. When it's aligned correctly, the board should sit down naturally. Secure the logic board with its screw. Next, reconnect the remaining flex cables to the logic board one by one. Press straight down on each connector until it clicks. Take your time and confirm every connector is fully seated, because even a slightly loose connector can cause random issues like no vibration, no charging, no microphone, or flash problems. As you reconnect the cables, reinstall small bracket and secure it with its screw. Step 11. Install the top speaker. Place the speaker into position and reinstall the screws. Make sure the contact area is clean and that no dust or debris is trapped around the speaker mesh. Dirt here can make call audio sound quiet or muffled. Step 12. Install the rear camera. Place the camera module into the housing and reinstall the 3 mounting screws. Now reconnect the 3 rear camera flex connectors. One connector is stacked under the cable, so align it perfectly and press straight down. Reinstall the bracket over the rear camera connectors and secure it with its screw. Step 13. Install the front camera module. Place the front camera module into position, making sure the flex cable is not folded or pinched. Reconnect the front camera cable to the logic board, then reinstall the bracket and screws. Keep the sensors clean, because fingerprints or dust can affect selfie quality and Face ID performance. Step 14. Install the battery and cooling plate. Place the cooling plate with the battery back into the phone, but don't reinstall all 15 screws yet. We'll be doing a quick test run of the iPhone first. Step 15. Install the display. First, connect the display and front sensor cables, then reconnect the battery cable. Close the display into place, then power on the iPhone and do a quick test to confirm everything is working properly. After replacing any major components, use Repair Assistant to calibrate the device. Go to Settings, then select General, and then the About section. You will see a new section, Parts and Service History. Go to this section and follow the on-screen prompts to start calibration. Now verify every module and confirm the display is working, touch responds correctly, all buttons click and function, both cameras open, Face ID works, speakers and microphones function properly, vibration feels normal, and charging works through both the USB-C cable and wireless charging. If something doesn't work, power the phone off and recheck every flex cable connection on the logic board, making sure each connector is properly aligned and fully seated. Once everything passes, power the iPhone off again, open the display, and let's restore water resistance. Remove the old adhesive tape from the iPhone's frame. Once the iPhone is opened, the adhesive tape loses its sealing properties and can no longer protect your device from water and dust. To restore water resistance, you'll need to apply new waterproof sealing tape around the frame. However, if you don't have the new adhesive tape on hand, it's best to leave the old tape in place until you're ready to replace it. Use a cotton swab dipped in isopropyl alcohol, 91% or higher, to clean any remaining adhesive or residue from the frame. The surface must be completely clean. This is critical for the new adhesive tape to bond properly and for the display to sit flush with the frame. Also, remove the old adhesive gasket from the iPhone's display, then wipe the surface with isopropyl alcohol to remove any remaining adhesive residue. Place the cooling plate with the battery into the iPhone and secure it with 15 screws. Carefully align the new adhesive tape with the edges of the frame, ensuring proper placement. Press down along the perimeter using a plastic spudger to secure it firmly. Once the tape is applied, peel off the top liner, then use a plastic spatula to press it again around the entire perimeter to securely fix the tape. Remove the final protective liner from the adhesive to expose the side that will bond to the display. Reconnect the display and sensor connectors, replace the bracket, and tighten the screw. Now, carefully position your display over the frame and press down starting from one edge and working across. Apply firm, even pressure around the entire perimeter to ensure good adhesive contact. Then reinstall the 2 screws near the charging port to finish assembly. If you found this guide helpful, please like this video and subscribe to How-FixIT for more detailed repair tutorials. Visit our website for more insights and do-it-yourself guides. Remember, every tech challenge is an opportunity to learn and grow. Before you go, watch one of these next. First, my video on the best screwdrivers for iPhone repair, so you use the right bits and don't strip screws. Or my guide on where to buy original iPhone parts, so you avoid fakes and get reliable parts. Both are on screen and in the description. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the next one.